Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, friends. Am I audible and visible? Somebody please ping me so that I can begin with today's short session. Yes, friends. Just a second. Am I audible and visible? Somebody please ping me so that I can start with the session. Just a second, guys. Okay. So let's begin with today's session. Sunita ji, good noon. Am I audible and visible? Okay, so now let's begin with two important things that we are going to study today. That is formation of All India Muslim League followed by Surat split. Okay, thank you, Sunita ji. Now, in the previous session, we have seen about the Swadeshi movement. What was the reason for Swadeshi movement? Okay, yes, Joya, good afternoon. Now, let me go for a quick recap for the aspirants, those who are new to the platform. They can easily correlate different aspects. Okay. Indian National Congress was formed on 28th December 1885 at a place called as Gokuldas Tejpal Sanskrit College. And the first session of Indian National Congress was attended by approximately 72 delegates. And the first session was presided by Vomesh Chandra Banerjee. From the second session, the number of delegates in the Indian National Congress started increasing. Precisely, so it is believed that there are 4 Englishmen who presided the sessions of Indian National Congress. Alan Octavian Hume was never the president of Indian National Congress. He was just a secretary to Indian National Congress. On ideological perspective, on ideological basis, Indian National Congress, right from the start was divided into 2 parts. The moderates and the extremists. Moderates, as the name suggests, they believed in something called as prayer, protest, and petition. Apart from this, moderates believe that we do not want complete independence. We want self-government, and that too in a gradual step-by-step manner, not all of a sudden. On the other hand, the extremists, they believe that we want complete independence. In simple words, in the words of Bal Gangadhar Tilak ji, Swaraj is my birthright and I will have it. And for that case, if we have to go beyond the extra constitutional limits, we will do that. If we have to adopt a radical approach, we will do that. So that was the belief of the extremist. Now, as per many historians, Indian National Congress from 1885 to 1905 was dominated by moderates. And the major achievement of moderates was, yes, getting Indian Council Act 1892 passed. Okay. Now specifically comes what? Now specifically comes the Swadeshi movement. And one of the major reasons for Swadeshi movement was the policy of divide and rule adopted by Lord Curzon. Now, Lord Curzon, who was a viceroy, he was known for his 2 policies, divide and rule and carrot and stick policy. Now, in 1905, he announced the partition of Bengal on what pretext? Bengal has become too big to be administered by a single viceroy. You could have appointed additional governor general. Isn't that so? We had seen different governor generals. We have seen non-regulation system adopted by Lord Dalhousie. And what was that system? For any newly acquired territory, a commissioner would be appointed, and this commissioner would be directly reporting to the governor of the respective presidency. For the ease of administration, you could have done the same thing here, but no. Britishers had something like they had a different intrinsic agenda. And what was that? They wanted to divide Bengal on communal lines. Reason? Specifically, West Bengal was a Hindu majority province, and East Bengal was a Muslim majority province. Correct? There were many newspapers at that time that protested against the partition of Bengal: Sanjeevani, Bang Bhashi, Hindu Patriot, Bengali, Amrit Bazar Patrika. In fact, the newspaper Amrit Bazar Patrika went on to sign a petition with 1 lakh people. Are you supporting the partition of Bengal or not? Majority of them did not support the partition of Bengal. Now Britishers have come up with another strategy. And what was that? They wanted to attract certain section of Muslims towards them. I'll give you a very simple example. As a part of Swadeshi movement, Rabindranath Tagore ji, he had focused on Atma Shakti or self-reliance. This is the best time where Hindu-Muslim unity can be forged. So, at this point of time, it is believed that Raksha Bandhan festival was also celebrated. Hindus and Muslims tied Rakhis on each other's wrist. But now, what happened? Britishers adopted a very different policy. So, they tried to poison the minds of certain sections of the Muslim, precisely from East Bengal. What happened? It is believed that they said to certain section of the Muslim, do you know why there is educational development of the Hindus? The reason being Calcutta University. If you support partition of Bengal, I will establish a residential university. We will establish a residential university at Dhaka. Okay? A residential university at Dhaka. Why there is economic upliftment of Hindus? There is Calcutta port. If you support the partition of Bengal, we'll establish another port in the form of Chittagong port. So support the partition of Bengal. So at this point of time, in 1906, Muslim Educational Conference was called at a place called as Dhaka for educational upliftment of the Muslims. Okay? And taking this as an opportunity, Nawab Salimullah of Dhaka, Nawab Moshin ul Mulk and Aga Khan, they proposed the formation of a new political party, that is All India Muslim League. And in 1906, All India Muslim League was formed at a place called as Dhaka with its headquarters in Lucknow. Okay? So Muslim League, it worked like a parallel political party to Congress. And they put forward certain demands before the Britishers. In such a case, they asked certain section of Muslims, rather than joining Indian National Congress, why don't you join All India Muslim League, which is projecting the interest of minorities, particularly the Muslim section. So why don't you join what we say All India Muslim League rather than joining specifically Indian National Congress? In fact, it is said that one of the branches of Muslim League was also established in London by Amir Ali. Okay. Now, what were the major demand of the Muslim League? So, like we had seen that Indian National Congress used to conduct annual sessions. Bombay, Calcutta, okay, Belgaum, Madras, and so many other places. Similarly, All India Muslim League worked in the same fashion. They also conducted annual sessions at different places and discussed the Muslim interest there. And what was their one of the major demand? Their one of the major demand was slogan of separate Muslim interest. Okay. Remember one thing. When for the first time, separate Muslim nation, okay, like the demand for separate Muslim nation was put forward. One question, when for the first time, separate electorate demand for Muslims was put forward. Okay. Yes, hi. Kesh, okay, what kind of a doubt you have? Please, you can ask the doubt. Okay. Just listen to me patiently right now. Whatever you have a doubt, I'll clear that doubt once it is done. Okay. Do not worry about that. Coming back here. So, specifically speaking, it is believed that All India Muslim League, they demanded separate electorate. Now, what is the concept of separate electorate and what is reservation of seat? Let's understand about this. Okay, just listen to me very carefully. Suppose there is a constituency. And in that constituency, there are 100 members. Just try to analyze this concept. There is a constituency, and in that constituency, there are 100 members. Out of 100 members, 70 are Muslims and 30 belong to the other communities. Suppose this constituency has been reserved under separate electorate, so what will happen? In such a case, the candidate who would be standing for election compulsorily needs to belong to that particular community. Okay? So, this is a constituency in which there are 100 members, and this constituency has been reserved for Muslims as a part of separate electorate. Okay? Now, out of 100, 70 are Muslims. So, the candidate who would be standing for the elections compulsorily need to be a Muslim. Compulsorily. Okay? Suppose there are 2 candidates who are standing for election out of 70. Who are the voters now? The voters will also belong to that particular community. So, voters will also come from this section, not from this. Very simple words, as a part of separate electorate. The candidate who is standing for the elections and the voter, both of them belong to that same particular community. But as a part of reservation of seats, the candidate, for example, if a seat has been reserved for a particular community, the candidate will belong to that community, but the voters of the entire constituency will vote. That is the difference between separate electorate and reservation of seats. Did you get the points? Please let me know. If not, I'll explain again. Okay. You have a question. Out of 50,000 serious aspirants, how many have critical thinking skills? Then think and make policy making. See, your question, Kesh, is like, it's a kind of a debatable question, that how many aspirants have a critical thinking, or how many aspirants, they go for an analytical approach of the policies. Correct? Whenever you are reading things, I'll tell you, for example, these days Manrega is in news. Correct? So whenever you are reading the features of a particular policy, what happens? We try to compare that policy with the previous policy. And is that working properly, or is it suitable with the present day structure of the governance? Okay. So it's just about how you develop an analytical approach towards that policy, that particular scheme. That is more important. And questioning about the critical thinking part. Okay. I would suggest you one thing. Whenever you are reading a particular aspect, okay, yes, there are certain loopholes in a particular policy, there are certain loopholes in a particular scheme. You can highlight that whenever you are approaching the answer writing. But apart from that, you should also come up with a positive roadmap. Okay? Highlighting the problems is not just a thing. You have to come up with a probable roadmap for that. Got it? Okay. Now coming back here. So, All India Muslim League, which was formed in 1906, what had happened? Now they had demanded separate electorate. Moving ahead. From 1910, there were certain sections, specifically the young leaders in the Muslim League. They were completely annoyed by the slavish mentality of the leaders such as Aga Khan. Now they believed in maintaining loyalty towards British rule. And what did they get in return? Nothing. In fact, in 1911, there was annulment of Partition of Bengal. Partition of Bengal got cancelled, and the capital of India was shifted from Calcutta to Delhi. So in such a situation, what happened? There were many Muslims who were dissatisfied with this policy of the Britishers. Apart from this, World War I, it will get initiated in 1914. But the background for World War I has already been prepared. And as a part of World War I, Turkey was a nation, specifically, which formed an alliance with whom? Germany, Austria, Hungary, against Britishers. So at this point of time, Britishers were hell-bent on imposing democratic form of government in Turkey. We'll see about that when we'll understand about the Khilafat movement. And Turkey, the ruler of the Turkey, he was referred as Caliph. And Caliph is not only specifically the religious head, he was also considered as a political head. So this hurted the sentiments of Muslims across the world, precisely the Muslims in India. So there were certain section of the Muslims within the All India Muslim League who believed that there's no point in maintaining loyalty towards Britishers. And what did we get in return? So at that point of time, these leaders were referred as Young Party, or there was a formation of a small political party within the Muslim League, and that was called as Young Party. And Young Party leaders, they invited Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who is also referred as Muslim Gokhale, to join All India Muslim League. And this was not liked by Aga Khan, and Aga Khan resigned from the presidentship of All India Muslim League. And after 1913, Muhammad Ali Jinnah became one of the major leaders of All India Muslim League. Okay. Now, the very first question that comes up here is, during the initial days, Muhammad Ali Jinnah was in the favor of a united country, a united nation. Then why did he change his strategy after 1930? Okay. For the first time, demand for a separate nation was raised after 1930. Okay? And in 1932, Third Roundtable Conference, a student from Cambridge University, Chaudhry Rahmat Ali, he coined the term Pakistan for the first time. In 1940, when Britishers were involved in World War II, when the nationalists of India were preparing for a major movement in India, which cropped up in 1942 in the form of Quit India movement. In 1940, Muhammad Ali Jinnah passed Pakistan Resolution. Specifically, in 1943, Pakistan Day was observed. Initially, I'll tell you one more thing. Till arrival of Simon Commission in 1927, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, to an extent, was pro-government. Guys, just 1 second, hold on. Okay. I'm really sorry for this. A bit of disturbance. So in 1927, there was Simon Commission, okay, who had come to India. You cannot believe that majority of the leaders of Indian National Congress decided that they will boycott Simon Commission. In All India Muslim League, there were dissenting opinions. Okay, like one section, that is Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and the other section, that is Muhammad Shafi. So there was dissenting opinion within Muslim League itself. Muhammad Ali Jinnah said that we will give up separate electorate and we will boycott the Simon Commission. On the other hand, Muhammad Shafi said that we will not give up the separate electorate and we will welcome the Simon Commission. But his strategy started changing after 1930, and the reason was Nehru Report, followed by his 14-point plan. So this was all about All India Muslim League. So one of the major things that you need to understand, that All India Muslim League was formed in 1906 at Dhaka. Apart from this formation of All India Muslim League, its headquarters was in Lucknow. Nawab Salimullah of Dhaka, Nawab Mohsin ul Mulk, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Aga Khan, played a very pivotal role in the formation of All India Muslim League. Headquarters was established in Lucknow. Later on, one of the branches was established in London by Amir Ali. And after 1913, Muhammad Ali Jinnah became one of the crucial leaders of All India Muslim League. In fact, around 1916, Muslim League now decided that they are going to work with Indian National Congress. And here, the session was held in Lucknow, 1916. The session was presided by, Ambika Charan Muzumdar. So this was majorly about the formation of All India Muslim League and the role played by All India Muslim League. Clear? Moving ahead. One more thing, this is not 8 seats. Okay, and this is not 2 seats. This is 8 provinces and this is 3 provinces. Now let me tell you one thing. In 1937, elections were held, okay? And elections were held in 11 provinces. Congress was successful in forming government in 8 provinces out of 11 provinces. And All India Muslim League was successful in forming, what we say, government in 3 provinces out of 11 provinces. I'll give you one simple example. What did Muslim League say initially? Muslim League convinced the Muslim section of India, do not join Indian National Congress. Because they criticized Indian National Congress as a party of politically elite Hindus. They are not going to reflect the interests of the minorities. And instead, join All India Muslim League. On the lines of Government of India Act 1935, elections were held in 1937 in 11 provinces. In all these 11 provinces, approximately 1,485 seats were reserved for Muslims as a part of separate electorate. Sorry, there were totally 1,485 seats, not for Muslims. Totally, there were 1,485 seats. Out of them, 482 seats were reserved for Muslims. Okay? And if 482 seats are reserved for Muslim, here specifically, the political party All India Muslim League should win maximum seat. Can you imagine? Out of 482 seats reserved for Muslims, All India Muslim League only got 106 seats, not even 1/4 completely. So it was a very humiliating defeat for what we say All India Muslim League. So Muhammad Ali Jinnah here, he cannot say that All India Muslim League alone represents the interest of Muslims. Okay? So specifically speaking, All India Muslim League, they were successful in forming government in 3 provinces, such as in Punjab and in Bengal. In Punjab, they formed with Unionist Party, okay, Sikandar Hayat Khan. In Bengal, Fazlul Haq, and in Sindh Muslim Party. So they formed coalition government in 3 provinces, and in 8 provinces, Congress formed the government. Okay? So this was nothing but All India Muslim League. Hope the point is clear, my friends. Let's move on with the Surat split. Any question, any query, any kind of a doubt, please let me know. Yes, please. Okay. There was split in the Indian National Congress, and we need to understand the reason behind the split. So for the next 8 to 10 minutes, please pay attention carefully. Do not worry, everything has been, presented in the PPT or the PDF, which I'll provide to you. And you can download the PDF from my Telegram channel, history_Alok Ojha. So do not worry about that. Just listen to me carefully. Indian National Congress, it was formed on 28th December 1885 at a place called as Gokuldas Tejpal Sanskrit College, Bombay. Okay? The first session was presided by Vomesh Chandra Banerjee, attended by 72 delegates. Second session was held in Calcutta, presided by the Grand Old Man of India, Dadabhai Navroji, attended by approximately 434 to 436 delegates. Third session was held in Madras and presided by Badruddin Tayyabji, the first, Muslim president. And with the passage of time, number of delegates started increasing. Okay? Many historians do believe that from 1885 to 1905, the politics of Indian National Congress was majorly dominated by the moderates. And from 1905 to 1908, for a short span of time, it was being hijacked by the extremist leaders. Correct? Now, moderates, they believe that we want slow and steady progress. We do not want complete independence. We want self-government, that too within the constitutional limits. On the other hand, the extremists believe that we want complete independence. In 1905, Curzon announced the partition of Bengal. And against this, call for Swadeshi movement was taken at Banaras session of Indian National Congress in 1905, presided by Gopal Krishna Gokhale ji, who is also the political guru of M.K. Gandhi. Swadeshi and boycott both are complementary to each other. And at this point of time, Gopal Krishna Gokhale ji, he is a moderate leader. Okay? Now, in 1905, it was decided that the Swadeshi movement would just be confined to the region of Bengal. We won't be making this movement pan-India. Okay? So, it was accepted by the nationalists of all the ranks. Rather, it be the moderates or it be the extremists. Everyone accepted to this. Now, Anand Mohan Bose, Surendranath Banerjee, they played a very pivotal role in spreading the movement in the region of Bengal. Rabindranath Tagore, he focused on Atma Shakti or self-reliance. Now, there were leaders who believed that if the movement has become successful in the region of Bengal, why don't we spread the movement throughout the country? In fact, Bal Gangadhar Tilak ji, he spread the movement in the region of Bombay Presidency. Bal Gangadhar Tilak ji, he spread the movement in the region of United Provinces. Lala Lajpat Rai ji in the region of Punjab. Sayyid Haidar Raja in the region of Delhi. Chidambaram Pillai in the region of Madras. So a movement which was initially decided to be confined to a region of Bengal now became pan-India. Okay? In 1906, it is believed that extremist leaders wanted either Lala Lajpat Rai or Bal Gangadhar Tilak ji to become the president of Indian National Congress. Okay? But this was not liked by the moderate section. Correct? So what happened? Moderates proposed the name of a leader whose name was Dadabhai Navroji. And Dadabhai Navroji, although he is a moderate leader, he is a very revered personality. He is a very respected personality among the nationalists of all the ranks. So when the name of Dadabhai Navroji was proposed in 1906 Calcutta session, neither Bal Gangadhar Tilak ji nor Lala Lajpat Rai ji opposed to it. But here, extremist leaders said that we want 4 resolutions to be passed compulsory. And in such a situation, nobody is going to stop up in this. Nobody is going to create an obstacle or hindrance. So, in 1906 Calcutta session, Lala Lajpat Rai ji and Bal Gangadhar Tilak ji had to step back. Why? Because Dadabhai Navroji became the president of Indian National Congress and he was a very respected personality. But this question has been asked in the UPSC Prelims examination. The extremist leaders were successful. Okay, extremist leaders were successful in passing 4 Calcutta resolution. Swaraj, Swadeshi, boycott and national education. Okay, Swaraj basically means what? Independence, complete independence. Swadeshi and boycott both are complementary to each other. As we have seen previously as a part of drain of wealth theory, how Britishers through their policies have systematically deindustrialized our rural industries. Through their policies, they had completely paralyzed our rural industries. And this was the best time where we can have a comeback of the industry. Correct? So, Swaraj, Swadeshi, boycott and national education. 4 Calcutta resolutions were passed. Okay. Then comes 1907 session. And it is believed that in 1907, the session is going to take place at a place called as Pune or Bombay. Okay. Now, in 1907, the venue was shifted from Pune to Surat. Okay. Now, Indian National Congress had made a rule. And what was that? The host cannot preside the session of Indian National Congress. So extremist leaders believe that in such a case, if Bombay is a place where the session is going to take place of Indian National Congress, Bal Gangadhar Tilak ji cannot preside. No issue with that. Lala Lajpat Rai will preside. He is also referred as Sher-e-Punjab or Lion of Punjab. But here, the venue was shifted to Surat on the banks of river Tapti. Here the differences between the moderates and the extremists came to fore for the first time. Okay. Now there were dissenting opinion between the moderate leaders and the extremist leaders. Now it is believed that, specifically moderates believe that, for past 21 years we have sustained Indian National Congress. And in a gradual step-by-step manner, we are getting certain rights from the Britishers. We had initially come up with Indian Council Act 1892. And further, we will also come up with new reforms. And working with what we say extremist is like entering into dangerous waters. 100% our ship will capsize if we start working with extremist leaders. This was the belief of moderates. On the other hand, what was the belief of the extremist? Extremists simply believed that what was the major achievement of the moderates? It's a meager achievement. Indian Council Act 1892, that's it. So for past 20 years, what have you gained? And in such a situation, when Swadeshi movement has started in the country, when Swadeshi movement, it has gained a momentum of specifically what? It has gained a momentum of becoming a pan-India movement. In such a situation, rather than supporting the fellow nationalists, you are negotiating further reforms with the Britishers. So the extremist leaders believe that the moderates are a drag on the movement. Moderates believe that working with extremists is like entering into dangerous waters. On the other hand, extremists believe that moderates are a drag on the movement and their achievement so far has been meager. In fact, this is the best time that they should support us. Because the movement, it has become pan-India. Secondly, the movement, it has spread to the grassroots level. So, here, split became inevitable. Gopal Krishna Gokhaleji, one of the mature moderate leader, Bal Gangadhar Tilakji, another extremist leader who was a mature leader, and they understood the dangers of split. If there is dissenting opinion, that can be sorted out. But at this point of time, Britishers actually wanted the split. Why? So that Britishers can adopt the policy of carrot and stick. How? Example, as we had discussed previously, that if Britishers wanted to suppress one particular section, what will they do? They will get one particular section on their own side. For example, the movement was started by a moderate leader, but it became pan-India movement under the leadership of extremist leaders. Correct? Now, Britishers wanted to suppress the extremist. If they have to suppress the extremist, they have to get moderates by their side. How will they get moderates by their side? By offering them bait of fresh reforms. And now they will offer morally minto reforms to the moderate section and they will become loyalists. This was a strategy of the Britishers. This was realized by Bal Gangadhar Tilakji. That's fine. In 1907, session was held at Surat on the banks of river Tapti. Everyone, specifically the extremist leaders, proposed the name of Lala Lajpat Rai ji or Bal Gangadhar Tilakji. And at this point of time, the moderate leaders proposed the name of Ras Bihari Ghosh. And Lala Lajpat Rai ji, he had to step back. Now what happened? Approximately there were 1600 to 2000 delegates present at Surat session. Okay. At that point of time, to address the session, Firoz Shah Mehta ji, he stood up. Firoz Shah Mehta ji, he is also referred as Lion of Bombay, one of the renowned lawyers of Bombay. He stood up to address the session. Some unidentified person, he hurled a shoe on Firoz Shah Mehta ji. Just beside Firoz Shah Mehta ji, Surendranath Banerjee was sitting. He is also referred as Indian Burke. Another unidentified person, he hurled a shoe on Surendranath Banerjee. And there was an entire chaotic situation in the hall. Shoes, tables, chairs, and there was a fighting between the moderates and the extremists. In fact, Britishers had to come, they had to intervene and clear the hall. In fact, Bal Gangadhar Tilakji, he wrote a letter of apology to Firoz Shah Mehta ji, and he said that whoever who has done this act, we will take a strict action against him. But here, this is like it is believed that Firoz Shah Mehta ji, like he did not consider this apology. And in 1907, there was split in Indian National Congress. Both moderates and extremists parted their ways. And this is what the Britishers wanted. Britishers now, they offered a bait of fresh reform to the moderates in the form of Indian Council Act 1909, also referred as Morley-Minto reforms, because Morley was Secretary of State for India and Minto was Viceroy of India. Okay. After this, they came up heavily on the extremists. Bal Gangadhar Tilak ji, he was sent to Mandalay jail for the next 6 years. Bipin Chandra Pal, he retired from the active politics. Aurobindo Ghosh, he settled in Pondicherry. Lala Lajpat Rai ji initially went to England and from there he went to USA. Extremist leaders were put behind the bars. Extremist volunteers were being suppressed. The press was being gagged. Britishers came up with different acts such as Seditious Meeting Act 1907, Indian Newspaper Act 1908, then Indian Press Act 1910. And the major target of all these acts were the newspapers, publications, pamphlets and books associated with the extremist leaders. So, this was nothing but Surat split. And whatever Bal Gangadhar Tilak ji had anticipated, Gopal Krishna Gokhale ji had anticipated, this is what happened. The period from 1908 to 1914 was a period of political vacuum in the country. People had accepted slavery as a part of their life. And in 1914, when Bal Gangadhar Tilak ji was released from the jail, in 1916, specifically in April 1916, Bal Gangadhar Tilak ji initiated the Home Rule League movement. And in 1916, Annie Besant, September 1916, Annie Besant, she also started her own Home Rule League. So in 1916, at Lucknow session, both the sections of Indian National Congress realized the dangers of split. We are at the receiving end, not the Britishers. In fact, Britishers wanted this split. Okay. So this was nothing but the formation of All India Muslim League and Surat split. Hope so the point is clear, my friends. Yes, Kesh, you have a question. Being an IS officer, one must know about the system, the analytical approach and everything. First of all, I like to answer that question in a very simplified format, in a very simple statement. For becoming an IS officer, okay, you require these things. Or being an IS, like for example, if you become an IS officer, so you need to have a critical approach, you need to have an analytical approach, creative thinking, everything. First of all, we need to qualify civil services for that. Isn't that so? And the problem you have is here, like you have a question like, certainly many aspirants don't have awareness about this. Aspirants do have an awareness about this. And in fact, there is a GS paper 4, that is paper ethics. Isn't that so? Which actually specifically speaks about creative thinking, thinking out of the box. It's not just like UPSC, if it is conducting an interview, it's not on a random basis, obviously. They are testing everything. The interview, it's a test of your EQ, not IQ. Your IQ has already been tested as a part of prelims and mains. EQ basically means emotional quotient. Okay. So obviously UPSC judges an aspirant on all the aspects, not just the IQ. Okay. So friends, specifically, StudyIQ IS has come up with Target Year 2027 batch, Resolution GS P2I Foundation batch. And the batch is closing on 18th of December. Okay. Specifically, the price of the batch is starting from 12,499. And the batches are available in Hindi, bilingual, that is Hindi plus English, and specifically in English language. Core English language, and precisely this will help out the students from the northeastern part of India and southern part of India. So the prices are starting at a very affordable price of 12,499. Use the code Alok Live that is flashing on your screen to get the benefits of these batches. And the last date is 18th of December. Okay. So in such a situation, specifically, I'll tell you one thing. what we say, go through the website of StudyIQ, explore the courses there, go through the features of these courses, and after that, take a decision. So use the code Alok Live that is flashing on your screen. Okay, guys, thank you and have a nice day. Bye-bye. Okay, Joya, thank you. Thank you, Kesh ji.